Hey viewers, my name is Cara. I'm your host for Tuesdays on the Pagan Perspective, and this week we're talking about Satan's face in 9/11. So this is a thing that I hadn't actually heard about, didn't actually know about. I don't really watch the news. Even back when 9/11 happened, the only reason I saw it is because I was at school and they had us watching the news at school. But in my general life, I don't have a lot of TV watching going on, so I never saw these things on the news. The question is from someone named Keith, and they're talking about how video and the pictures from 9/11 that show what appears to be Satan's face being made from the smoke of the impact of the planes into the towers. And he just wanted our thoughts on it, and he said that maybe it's his Catholic upbringing, but he still can't shake the thought that it's real. What are our thoughts? So like I said, I didn't actually know that this was a thing, so I had to Google it, and actually what came up is several different pictures. There are different video clips and different pictures where people claim to see Satan's face being made from the smoke. So I'm not sure which one you're talking about, or all of them in general, or what, but I took a look at a couple of them, and this one in particular is one that several of the articles talked about. But anyway, as far as whether or not I think it's real and what my thoughts are on the subject, whether it's Satan that you see or something else, there is a thing called pareidolia, which is also known as matrixing in the paranormal community. It's a type of apophenia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that exactly correctly, which is defined as the experience of seeing patterns or connections in random or meaningless data. Pareidolia is defined as a psychological phenomenon involving a vague and random stimulus, often an image or sound, being perceived as significant. We call it matrixing in the paranormal research type community. It's what happens when you look at something, for example, the clouds or leaves on a tree or the fibers in a carpet, stippling on a ceiling, patterns in wallpaper, anything like that, and your mind takes that random data and brings it into a logical image. It's the tendency for the human brain to want to make sense of things, and so a big part of it also is that we tend to see faces. We tend to recognize images and faces, because human-like faces, because that's what we're used to seeing, if that makes sense. So that is very much what I think something like this is. To me, it's not that there is literally the face of Satan appearing out of these clouds, but that's what we see because our mind wants to make sense of the random pattern of the smoke. This is the one picture that I saw, and you can see how people see a face in it, and you can see how people make the devil out of it. It's got kind of a beard, it's triangular shape, whatever. But you could also see a bird, a dove, or an eagle is actually what I thought of when I first saw it, or even a phoenix. There are various ways that the mind can interpret the same exact random image. As for whether it's real, what is real? What is reality? That smoke is real, it existed, and what people see and what we think we see is real in a sense. Because the kinds of things that I'm describing, matrixing and all those sorts of things, it's very similar to receiving visions through the process of scrying. And while I know while I'm scrying that part of what my mind is doing is matrixing, I do take that as a message from the universe, as a way to glean information from this random data. So I certainly don't want to say, oh, it doesn't mean anything, because then that would be saying that the things that I get from scrying also mean nothing, because to me they are the same processes used to come by them. I personally don't believe in Satan as anything more than it's a figure that people believe in, and people give it power by believing in it. And I think that people have an extreme sense of what they think Satan is, whether that's a positive thing for them or a negative thing, depending on who you are and how you view that figure. And I think the way that people think about these concepts is very real. So I think what I would have to ask of the questioner and of anyone who is, who sees this and thinks, oh my gosh, that's Satan. That is Satan coming out of the towers or whatever it is. The important thing, I think, is to ask yourself, what does that mean to you? What message does that give you, if that's what it is? Like I said, when I look at it, I see something else. If I hadn't known to look for that face, the next thing that really popped out at me was that bird shape. So what does it mean to you that that's what you see? What does it mean that that's what other people are seeing? And what would it mean if that's really what it was? There are many ways to interpret it. How are we interpreting it? Does that mean that Satan caused that event to occur, or that Satan made those people do what they did, or that it happened because of Satan in some other way, or it happened because we are Satan and therefore we deserved it, or that Satan just happened to be present there because it was an act of quote-unquote evil, or because it was destructive and he likes that sort of thing, so he showed up. One of the articles that I read talked about how there are demons' faces being shown because demons love that sort of thing, destruction and killing, and so the demons showed up because it's something that they like. That was just one of the articles that I browsed over real quick. So there are various ways to interpret it, even if that is the symbol, if it's agreed upon that that's the thing that's seen, that is the message. There are still many ways to interpret it. So how are you interpreting it? What would it mean to you if that's really what it was? For me, it really doesn't hold any specific meaning because I don't really have a connection to Satan as a figure. The strongest connection I have to Satan as a figure is through the character of Satan, or Hasatan, in The Last Days of Judas Iscariot, which was played by the girl that I roomed with my senior year in college when we put on a production of that play. And I very much like that interpretation of it, and that character, that literal character in the role of the accuser, is something that I see prevalent throughout everyone on earth. And so I think that is very relatable, and that is a really real thing to me. Something that I learned in my theater department from my director, and something that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. Don't get me wrong, I am not an expert on this, and I still can't fully understand all the time how he tried to describe it to us, but I believe that there is a difference between what is real and what is factual and what is true. There are things that are true that may not necessarily be factual, and things can be real without being real. So no, I don't think that was really, truly, factually the face of Satan coming out of the towers, but I think that the fact that people see that and the fact that people have a reaction to that is very real. People's feelings about that are very real, and it becomes real through what we put into it. This topic is somewhat related to a request that I got probably the end of 2013 sometime that I wanted to make a video response about, and I've been trying to put my thoughts into words for that and find the time to record it, so I think now would be a good time. So on my personal channel, there will be a link in the description. On my personal channel, you will find a video about how I got over the fear of hell. Someone asked me about that a while ago, and I think this relates to that rather well. So those are my thoughts. I'm sorry if I was a little bit muddled. It is very late, trying to fit a lot into my day off. So thank you very much for watching. Until next time, which I will see you next month, since next week is the subs, don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.